Hello guys, back again with the Al Rasta channel, and this time as always we will be back to talk about the best Donghua series, and of course, it is SwallowedStar. In the previous episode, in the Genius Battle Tournament, there were only 2 quotas to enter the Primordial Secret Realm. The first quota was won by Bolin, and another quota will be won by Genius, who manages to win in the extra round battle. In the previous extra round, Luofeng had defeated an opponent, Wuka, from the Manka clan. Even though his opponent was from a superior race, Luofeng was able to prove his superiority. And next up is the final and decisive round, where Luofeng must defeat a warrior named Long Yun, the dark horse who unexpectedly made it this far. Okay, without further ado, let's jump right into the story. The final match of the tournament was finally about to begin. Since this was the final match, Luofeng's children were eager to watch it live, not just the highlights. Recently, the battle between the two of them had also become a hot topic that was often discussed in the various kingdoms of the universe. Many people assumed that Luofeng would emerge victorious, considering that Luofeng had previously defeated Wuka, whom Long Yun couldn't defeat. It was a reasonable judgment. Around the lobby area of the Genius battle, several reporters asked Wuka about who was likely to be the winner of this battle. Wuka, who looked nervous during the interview, was then rescued by Ai Chen, who took her away. Since they couldn't ask Wuka, they wanted to ask Galesy, but they ran away when they saw Galesy's terrifying face. Right now, there are many people who speculate that Luofeng is the more favored opponent. However, according to Chang Bo, Long Yun's potential was in no way inferior to Luofeng's. The battle between the two of them was for a quota of the Primordial Secret Realm, which was the biggest secret in the main prize of this Genius battle. And the outcome of this battle was completely unpredictable as to who would emerge victorious before reaching the endpoint, said Venerable Nine Swords. So far, it was very strange that Long Yun hadn't shown up yet. Wuka said that it must be a very special day for the Green Armor Man. After waiting, Long Yun finally arrived, apologizing to Luofeng for being late because he had just visited his family. Luofeng didn't mind at all. After all the time he spent preparing for the fight must have left him with no time to visit his family. Later, Long Yun's family would also be happy because they could watch him on the live broadcast. But it's a pity, because the man's family will definitely not be able to watch the fight that's about to take place. In fact, they had all turned to ash, and then Long Yun told them a bit about his past. Similarly, Wuka told Ai Chen. It was said that Long Yun was born into the Silent Mist clan from a galaxy in the Thunderwave Universe Kingdom. Once upon a time, his home planet was affected by a battle between 2 powerful races, a battle that caused the surface of the planet to be flattened to the ground. Not a single living being managed to evacuate during the massive event, except for Long Yun. At that time, Long Yun himself managed to evacuate because he received help from his grandfather, who used the power of the Law of Origin and threw Long Yun off the planet, sacrificing himself until he turned to ashes. Ai Chen had also heard about the collapse of the Silent Mist clan, and if I remember correctly, today is the 10th year since the collapse of the Silent Mist clan. So, it can be concluded that the reason for Long Yun's delay now is because he went to visit his family's grave. Wuka said that the 2 strong men who were the origin of the destruction of the Silent Mist clan had both died in the duel, so there was no enemy to take revenge on. There were no survivors left on his planet. This caused Long Yun to lose his direction and purpose in life. In the end, he formed his own goal, which was to participate in the Genius battle and become a strong figure so that his clan would not be forgotten by the universe. After hearing Long Yun's story, Luofeng felt that this opponent was quite unique. While other geniuses participated in this event to strengthen their own clan, Long Yun instead participated in the Genius battle so that his clan would continue to be remembered. Before the match began, Long Yun thanked Luofeng for being a good listener, and since their duel would be broadcast to the entire universe, Long Yun promised that he would not let the Silent Mist clan's name be buried by trying his best to defeat Luofeng here. Of course, Luofeng, who had his own goals, also had no intention of giving in to Long Yun. Immediately after the battle began, Luofeng launched the initial attack, firing several Yanshin flying weapons at the opponent. However, the attack from Luofeng's attack was so easily stopped by Long Yun activating the Earth domain. From the collision, Luofeng could immediately tell that Long Yun was very adept at combining Earth-type domains and origin law. He was also quite familiar with the origin law of space. Therefore, when Luofeng's illusory sword form touched Long Yun's body, the power of his attack instantly became extremely weak. He was like a tank with an impenetrable protective barrier. Therefore, if Luofeng wanted to create meaningful attacks, he would inevitably have to show his strongest attacks. And here, Luofeng tried to unleash the piercing sky sword technique on the opponent. And indeed, it was enough to knock Long Yun back. Up to this point, Luofeng, who had been throwing attacks far and wide, had used up quite a lot of energy. Although the opponent had withstood the attack several times, according to Lei Shen, it was likely that the ongoing duel would last quite a long time. Based on Hong's assessment, he felt that Long Yun still hadn't fully utilized his domain power. And of course it was true. In the middle of the battle, Long Yun seemed to have started to increase his strength. At the same time, he also remembered that his entire family had now been wiped out, and all he had left was the domain power and the land-type origin law passed down by his grandfather. Long Yun mentally prayed to his grandfather that this time he would be able to win in his battle with Luofeng. Then, it was seen that the domain area formed by Long Yun was expanding more and more. The debris from the flying vehicles and buildings was attracted by the irregular gravity field, forcing Luofeng to succumb to its pressure. Faced with this force, Luofeng could only resist with all his might. Finally, there was an explosive melee between the two. As an attentive spectator, Rong Jun was quite amazed. Not only was Long Yun stronger than him in terms of domain skills, but it seemed that even Bolin was still below Long Yun. And that was what caused Luofeng to be so overwhelmed. In the current situation, both sides had already lost a lot of energy, especially Luofeng, who had almost reached his limit. Their battle had also already exceeded the time limit set by the rules. From now on, the battlefield would become narrower and narrower. The narrower the battlefield, the more disadvantageous it would be for Luofeng as a ranged specialist. His movements and attacks would become increasingly limited. Changbo felt that the battle would soon be over.
空间缩小后，失去会很快结束。攻优势的罗峰将更为被动。
It seemed that both Luofeng and Long Yun were now exhausted. As Long Yun moved towards Luofeng while dragging his axe, Luofeng remembered the reason why he had to win. That was why he would fight tooth and nail here. The heavy attack that almost ended the battle was unexpectedly blocked by Luofeng, who seemed to have run out of energy. This made the audience wonder, how could Luofeng still survive? Only Babata knew that when Luofeng was cornered, he would activate the power of the golden horned beast, causing Luofeng's will to survive to increase. However, this wasn't a good thing because it would accelerate the effects of Luofeng's physical and mental decay. This state was called the steel body that Luofeng got when his human body broke through the Star Traveler level. Since the battle zone was already getting narrower, there was no other choice for Luofeng but to exert his remaining strength in close combat. Although the opponent was tougher in close combat, Luofeng still seemed to be able to land his attacks. Well, although it couldn't be denied, if Long Yun did more damage. Then, in the end, who will come out as the winner? Is it the one whose goal is to protect his planet from being annihilated? Or is it the one whose planet has been wiped out but is trying to keep his clan remembered? The final clash ensues between the two. As Long Yun delivered blows to Luofeng's shoulder area, tearing it apart, Luofeng seemed to be able to thrust his weapon into his opponent's body. However, before Long Yun could deliver a blow that could end the fight, he kicked Luofeng to the ground, preventing Luofeng's final attack from bringing him victory. With his body already covered in blood, Luofeng was seen trying to get back on his feet. But unfortunately, he could only take a few steps before practically dying, leaving Long Yun as the victor. In a battle, losing and winning is normal, said Venerable Nine Swords, and those with potential should be given credit. After seeing Luofeng's great determination, Long Yun hoped that Luofeng would be able to preserve life on the planet he protected and not end up like the Long Yun clan that had been wiped out. The participants of the 1,000 Great Genius battle were gathered in the lobby, along with Venerable Nine Swords, who announced that the finals of the Genius battle had been completed. The Virtual Universe Company had set the order according to the performance of the participants in the previous battles. Bolin was ranked first, Long Yun was ranked second, and Luofeng was ranked third. And this was the final result of the Genius battle. With all the warriors currently gathered there, they were now officially part of the Virtual Universe Company. The first and second positions would enter the Primordial Secret Realm. The 3rd to 10th positions would enter the Absolute Beginning Realm. Even though he had been given a second chance, Luofeng still failed to reach the 2nd rank in the end. However, since the preparation time was still long, Luofeng believed that he still had a chance to face the threat of the Zerg race's mother nest on Earth. Wuka, who appeared next to Luofeng, thought it was very unfortunate. If only Luofeng's sword could actually penetrate Long Yun's body deeper, he would have won. However, the good news was that with Luofeng's defeat, Wuka would be able to take back the victory that Luofeng had taken from her. Besides, they were in the same place and could fight again at any time. Venerable Nine Swords reiterated that the Virtual Universe Company will educate all those who are there, and in the end, whether they become a famous, super strong figure in the universe, become an ordinary strong person, or die during the journey, everything will depend on their personal abilities. Then, the company would send its people to collect the geniuses to the headquarters, and they would enter the secret region and begin their 30-year training. On the other hand, Luofeng did not expect his training to last that long. Seeing that Luofeng didn't know the in-depth information about this realm, Babata explained. The fact was that the time cycle in the original secret region was slower compared to the universe Luofeng was living in now. So if you convert 30 years there, it's equivalent to 100 years on Earth. Time was slower there. Next, we go to the headquarters of the Extreme Martial Club. We can see Luofeng feeling uneasy because if he goes to the secret region for 100 years, one day when the Earth is in a dangerous situation, he will not be able to return home in time. It's true that outsiders or universe bandits won't be a threat anymore, considering that Luofeng is already a core member of the Virtual Universe Company. But if it's the insect's mother's nest, it's a different story. Lei Shen said to take it easy, because there was still Lei Shen who would guard the Earth while Hong and Luofeng were away. Hong, confirming Lei Shen's words, also asked Luofeng to just focus on his training later. There was no need to bear everything alone anymore. Luofeng wasn't too worried anymore. But what made him feel a bit uncomfortable was that 100 years was the lifespan of an ordinary person. Even if he could meet his family later through the virtual universe network, it was still only virtual. In the end, Luofeng might never see them again after he returned. Therefore, before leaving, Luofeng spent as much time as possible with the closest people and family he was about to leave. On top of the border fortress of Jiangnan City, Luofeng was now spending time with Xu Xin. As she leaned on Luofeng's shoulder, Xu Xin couldn't believe that it had been 10 years since they got married. 10 years seemed to pass so quickly. And now, Xu Xin hoped that 100 years of Luofeng's departure would feel just as fast. When it was finally time to leave for the virtual universe company's headquarters, Luofeng was picked up by a company ship that would take him to his destination. After boarding the ship and staring into space, Luofeng promised himself that no matter what, he would find a way to eliminate the threat of the insect mother's nest on Earth, and then return to Earth to deal with it. Apart from Luofeng, there were also several genius warriors on the ship. Without focusing on them, Luofeng met with Changbo, who made a virtual call. And Changbo is a representative of the Qianwu Kingdom, who will be accompanying Luofeng on his journey. After Luofeng entered the virtual network, Changbo explained that it would take 3 years to reach the company's headquarters. And during that time, Luofeng could practice in the virtual space. Luofeng, who was now in a place called Jianyu Mountain. In this place, there were not only 1,000-star genius warriors from the previous genius battles, but there were also many seniors at the universe level, domain master level, and even world master level who were practicing and chatting with each other. On the other hand, even though the level of Luofeng's golden-horned body had now reached the universe level, this one-level difference was still considered to be a life leap, which meant that the gap between Luofeng and the world master level warriors was very large, not to mention the gap with the Huyanbo master, who had reached the immortal level. As a person who had joined the core of the virtual universe company, people like Luofeng were also treated quite luxuriously and received many benefits provided by the company. For example, when Luofeng successfully broke through a level, the company would provide him with resources to strengthen his physical body so that he could more easily reach the 9th level. It was given with limited points that could be exchanged for rare materials that Luofeng might need. But of course, in the end, the path to becoming stronger was not that easy. Even though Luofeng had joined this huge company, it was said that from each batch of genius battles that managed to qualify who could survive to reach the immortal level, there were no more than 10 people. Training there for 3 years made Luofeng feel a bit depressed when he remembered how difficult the path to becoming stronger was. In short, 3 years had finally passed. Now, Luofeng felt that there had been little development since the time 3 years ago. However, the more he delved into his power, the more Luofeng could feel the infinite depth of the origin of the universe, as well as the complexity that made the universe continue to function until now. The deeper Luofeng learned about the complexity of the universe, the more he craved for new knowledge about it, upon leaving the Dark Universe journey. In front of Luofeng was the headquarters of the Virtual Universe Company, a sight that fascinated him. Looking around, he could see that there were several large satellites, which were advanced technological weapons that were said to have extremely terrifying power. Looking at the central area, Luofeng really didn't expect how this company could build such a huge country in the middle of this universe. Luofeng then entered a large ship, where 1,000 geniuses from his batch had already gathered, and all of them would then go to the secret region through a huge portal. After the geniuses gathered in a room, the portal was activated. Opening such a large jump gate portal required a lot of resources, but it was no big deal for a virtual universe company. As soon as the giant portal opened, everyone felt a terrible pressure that made them unable to stand properly. The strange light emanating from inside also made it impossible for them to see clearly. Upon entering, Venerable Nine Swords explained that the time in the universe of the secret region and the time in the universe they had lived in before were very different. Therefore, the time cycle on this journey was so chaotic, and it was natural for the geniuses to feel pain. After passing through a chaotic time rotation path, Luofeng and the others finally arrived at the initial transit realm of the entrance area of the secret region location. At the same time, Venerable Nine Swords said that a planet has an age. It's the same with the secret region universe, a place known as a new and independent universe, and in it there is a huge density of torque and time. Because it was still in the early period, this universe was constantly evolving, so genius warriors could see how the law of origin worked there and easily understand it. That's why Venerable Nine Swords hopes that geniuses can understand how the law of origin works in the universe over there. After all, understanding it could benefit geniuses in the future. Luofeng, who tried to understand it, was able to realize that the floating patterns found around this secret region universe were a kind of rule that operated in this place. The stopping point and starting point for geniuses in this universe was called Primordial Chaos City. It is the only city and station in the secret region universe. It is said that the history of this place has existed longer than most of the history contained in a kingdom of the universe. There were 3 treasures contained within Primordial Chaos City. The first was the origin law that operated in the universe, which Luofeng and the others had seen with their naked eyes earlier. Second, it was in the residence of the owner of the city where they would be staying next. While the third treasure was outside of Chaos City, it was expected that those whose abilities were not very capable would not be able to find out what exactly the third treasure was, indicating that it was very dangerous to be able to find the said third treasure. As soon as the city's entrance gate opened, Luofeng and the others could feel warm energy enveloping their bodies. The warm energy was called the Chaos City's typical chaotic aura, which was formed by fertilizing the power of all the living beings within. After entering, the geniuses finally arrived at the residence of the city owner. Since the city looked so extraordinary, Luofeng was very curious as to what kind of person the owner of this city actually was. As a newcomer who had just arrived there were many pairs of eyes that immediately noticed the geniuses in Luofeng's group. However, Luofeng paid more attention to the structure of the city, which amazed him. In the lower step area, there were many moving stone cubes that formed an inscription. At the same time, Venerable Nine Swords once again explained that inside the city owner's residence, there were a total of 52 large pillars called the Tombstones of Chaos. On the walls of these tombstones were inscriptions made by 52 super-powerful warriors when they attained enlightenment, and each tombstone represented 52 paths to the peak of power. If someone can understand one of the Tombstones of Chaos, you can instantly become a super-powerful figure in the universe who can easily create a kingdom of the universe. And on this journey, geniuses are allowed to choose only one of the 52 tombstones. They are all given 7 days to be absolutely sure of their choice.
现在
When Luofeng looked at the stones displayed by the virtual, he was drawn to the gravestone number 9. I don't know what it was, but what was certain was that Luofeng would choose something that would be beneficial to his research and search for skills that suited him. On the other hand, Rong Jun had already made up his mind to choose the giant axe gravestone. It was the same with Wuka, whose choice was the same as Rong Jun's. Because the giant axe headstone is a relic of the founder of the giant axe arena, who, as we know, was one of the founders of the giant axe dojo. Suddenly, there were terrifying vibrations and explosions in the sky, the result of the battle between the warriors who had reached the immortal level. The effects of the battle between the two immortals caused explosions and cracks in the dimensional space in the sky. But suddenly, a ship passed by. and the ship was even sucked into the cracked space. How unfortunate for the ship, guys. Due to this incident, the Venerable Nine Swords has called for a ban on fighting in the Chaos City area. If anyone violates it, they will suffer the consequences immediately. In the middle of the battle, the time in the sky that had become the battlefield suddenly stopped, signaling that the city owner had intervened to solve the problem. The owner of the city, which was only visible in his hand, unleashed a mental power, a power that was able to rebuild the previously destroyed satellites as if reversing time, and also destroyed the two immortals who had been causing trouble in his territory. That's crazy. The owner of the city can stop the operating time of the universe in an instant and make himself seem like a figure who controls this universe, even though he doesn't appear at all and only uses his mental power, but he can easily turn immortal figures into ashes. Babata himself has been following Huyanbo for 60 million years, and the strongest person he has ever met has reached the level of Universe Venerable. People like them like to roam the universe for hundreds of millions of years, but after seeing the power of the owner of Chaos City, Babata was convinced that this person had reached the peak of power. If you think about it, Luofeng was embarrassed and got the nickname of Genius. If he's a genius, what do you call the title of this city owner? Luofeng felt like he was when he was a child and liked to look at the vast sky. Well, back then, Luofeng himself never expected that he could even go all the way to this great place. If only Luofeng practiced even harder, maybe one day he could get closer to the strongest figure like the owner of Chaos City, further into the city owner's residence. The geniuses were now on sandy terrain, and right in front of them was a gate guarded by two giant guardian figures. This place was known as the Chaos Tombstone Room. Luofeng was again amazed, even though it was just the entrance gate, but the height of the gate in front of him was hundreds of meters high. Plus, the guards also had giant bodies. And again, there was not just one, but there were many large gates like that. Wow. From the area and size of this place, Luofeng couldn't imagine how big this place was. The Venerable Nine Swords said that each Chaos Tombstone was already millions of eras old. It was a treasure for the virtual universe society, as well as the human race in the entire universe.
他们都是虚拟宇宙公司参悟机会。
Babata also explained that, if converted, 1 million eras is equal to tens of billions of years of time on Earth. The Earth itself only has a history of 4.1 billion years, which means that when the tombstone was created, the Earth was still not born, so that the ancient place made Luofeng even more curious. Are you curious? If you are, let's just wait for the next episode, guys. Okay, last word from me. Bye.